Welcome to Kermode Uncut. Last week I did an onstage event with Andy Serkis. I'm a huge fan of Andy Serkis. And it was a screening of The Red Shoes, the Powell and Pressburger classic, which I also absolutely love. And we showed the film in this lovely new restoration from a few years ago. And then Andy talked about how it was that The Red Shoes had influenced him, influenced his career, influenced his life, influenced him both artistically and personally. It was a wonderful evening, not least because it's always great to see The Red Shoes up on the big screen. But he was talking about what it was about the film that he loved. And he picked up on a number of points. One of them was the idea of artistic obsession, that you can become completely obsessed with your art, with your work, and that kind of takes over from your life. That's something which seems to resonate with a number of people who are working in the film industry. When he was talking about the choreography, obviously one of the things that Andy Serkis has done is an awful lot of performance capture work. He's changed the face of performance capture here in the UK. And he was talking about the choreography of the film and the way in which that influences performance capture. And then we started talking about the colour. Now obviously colour is a really big deal in The Red Shoes. You have the red of Moira Shearer's hair, the red of the shoes, the whole look of the film, which is beautifully photographed by Jack Cardiff. And we started talking about how important it is, the way the colour works in that film. And somebody from the audience asked a question. They said, is it possible to say, what does red mean in The Red Shoes? And Andy Serkis was talking about the way in which the colour of that film really sort of resonates with a viewer. And he started talking about Martin Scorsese, who loves The Red Shoes. He said, it's the film that plays in my heart. And Andy Serkis made an interesting point that in many ways, Raging Bull was Martin Scorsese's Red Shoes. I mean, right down to the fact that Jake LaMotta becomes obsessed with the gloves tie themselves onto him in much the same way that the shoes do to Moira Shearer. But the interesting thing about Raging Bull is that it's famously in black and white. And then I remembered hearing Martin Scorsese talking about watching The Red Shoes. His father took him to see it in the cinema and he saw it once, but then he saw it many times again on television. And he said this about it. He said, the film would be shown every Christmas on American television in black and white, but it didn't matter. We watched it. And even though it was in black and white on TV, we saw it in colour. And I loved that phrase. There's a new film that's just come out on Mubi called Lover for a Day, which is a modern black and white film. And there are many black and white movies still made today, even though we have all these kind of extraordinary colour techniques nowadays. People are still making films in black and white. Many of my favourite films are in black and white. I love Psycho. I love The Elephant Man. But there is something about the way in which you watch a black and white film that is peculiarly colourful. And I was really struck by hearing Martin Scorsese say that he watched The Red Shoes in black and white, but it didn't matter. Because even when you watch a black and white film, whether or not you've seen a colour version before doesn't really matter. The fact is, when you watch in black and white, you do see in colour.
Mademoiselle Page, où allez-vous?